Well, it doesn't matter what the number is. Most of us are constantly fighting to keep those unwanted pounds off. So Charles D'Angelo is back with advice on achieving those goals. You have so many clients that have lost so much weight. But, you know, we're always trying to keep a couple of pounds off. So what's some advice you have for us?
I always tell people that really the problems they think they have are often just a result of, or are the symptom of, a much bigger issue. And I always deal with people at the base level, at the core level, getting down to really the mindset. How do you really recondition your relationship with food and exercise? Because ultimately, how many diets are there out there? You go to any bookstore and you can find diet book after diet book, DVD after DVD, program after program, trainer after trainer. You turn on the news and you see all these different ideas for nutrition programs. But if you don't get to the core issue, the symptom of being overweight or overeating or overindulging never goes away.
And that core issue could be what?
It could be emotional issues with regard to wanting to distract yourself from stress. It can be that you want to numb yourself. It can be that you have a bit of an empty feeling inside of yourself, and your way of connecting with yourself is really overeating, overindulging, giving into temptation, rather than really taking charge of what you can control. You allow yourself to fall into that, I would call, defeat whirlpool, where you don't really stick with anything very long. You do it for a day or two, you fall off, you beat yourself up because of it, and you're back to that old pattern. So it's really getting to the emotional core and fixing that, and then the foods and the exercise become easy to stick with and follow.
Now, when you start with foods, where should people really start? Should they cut out a certain food group?
I never look at it that way. I always tell people the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what are you after? You need to define that very clearly, because if you don't have a definite outcome of where you're headed, it's very difficult to stay consistent with whatever approach you're following. So get very consistent and very certain, very clear on what you want for your life. How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? How do you want your energy to be? Do you want to be able to eliminate medications? What do you want to weigh? What do you want to wear? And ultimately, you have to then come up with the next step. What are the reasons underlining those goals? Because if you don't have compelling reasons, everything's going to go great for a while, but then when the storms of life come in and you start to have some stress, what's going to keep you going? And that comes down to having a good, clear list of goals along with the reasons behind those goals. Because if you don't have the reasons, it's difficult to stay with it. Lastly, you've got to have a good strategy, and that's where I come in. I'm not only the why guy, helping a person get clear on why they need to do it, but also the strategy they need to follow to get there. So what do you need to eat? When do you need to eat? How much you need to eat? What do you need to do with exercise? Making it smart and strategic. I always tell people we set goals that want to expand you, not break you. You don't want to set goals that are going to make you feel defeated, and you always want to be clear on when you want to achieve these things by. You want to make sure that they're consistent with all the values you have for yourself. So you can't do things that are going to take you away from your family. You need to make sure that these things are things that you feel fulfilled by.
How important is writing down your goals?
Critical. I would say that's one of the critical things. So few people keep a goal list. So you really want to have a goal list so that you can stay focused on where am I headed, and what better feeling do you get than by checking those things off as you go through.
Okay, so if somebody's sitting there and they're like, okay, I want to lose 5 pounds in the next 2 weeks, your advice to them, what should be the foods? What should they have for breakfast?
I would say set up something that you can be consistent with. So in my program, I often recommend, as we've done before, protein shakes. So whey protein, like whey isolate, with some low glycemic fruit like strawberries or blueberries, a little bit of flaxseed oil and water, blend all that up really well, and that's convenient, it's easy, it's accessible, it tastes really good, it works with your schedule, and they'll keep you feeling full. Because that's the big key, is so many people think they have to starve themselves to get to where they want to go, when in essence they need to nourish the muscle to burn the fat.
And it's not really about just 3 meals. You need snacks.
I always tell people that in my philosophy, it's that you should eat about every 3 hours or so to really make sure your body's getting everything it needs.
If people want to contact you, how do they do it?
CharlesD'Angelo.com is the website. The phone number is 314-495-3228.
Thanks, Charles.
My pleasure.